Welcome to Theosophical Insights, the podcast brought to you by the World Federation of Young Theosophists. This is the second half of our interview with Seth Edwards. In the first part of this program, Seth shared with us the story of his life and spiritual journey so far in this incarnation. We spoke about challenges and discoveries, efforts and insights that are so familiar to many and ever unique to each one of us. Let us see where our conversation will take us today.
How do you feel like you are getting closer to aligning more with your higher self and maybe becoming more aware of the personality and its conditionings and all that?
Yeah, maybe I think that's exactly just trying to be aware of the personality. Like everyone else, I get stuck in it all the time. But being aware of it helps. I don't know. I put a lot less importance on the things that I think now than I used to. My thoughts to me don't really matter anymore. My opinions about things don't matter to me. I understand that I do not see things as they are. And as a human, I probably never will. So I just stopped trying in that regard. But the silent part of me matters a lot more than it used to. I don't know, there's the feeling that you get in silence sometimes, kind of like a warmth maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's a sign that we're going in the right direction, but it could also be my imagination. I don't know.
It's something different, right? Something different from ordinary state.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe those are all that I can see different. Not a lot's changed.
I'm curious to know how you guys deal with situations where you fail yourself for the the thousandth time. Your personality's failed you again. It could result in a certain consequence, like from the outside, like someone being upset with you, your superior, or whoever, your friend or whoever, or it's just an internal thing. Like the person who can disappoint us most is ourselves. So I'm curious, how do you guys deal with it?
I struggle with that too. Yeah, I'm my own worst critic, as I think most people are. So if I mess something up, I get really, really upset with myself. And yeah, I think just trying to rise above that personality, but I'm not the best at it. So, well, Svat, did you have any thoughts?
I think it's a self-fixing, a self-correcting cycle. So if you make a mistake, you suffer because of that. Either karmically, emotionally, you can look at it from different points of view. Life always brings you like a punch or something unpleasant in any sort of experience. And I recently found an interesting aphorism attributed to the Buddha. I have no idea if it really comes from him, because people seems to ascribe all sorts of sayings to the Buddha, but the phrase itself is wonderful. It says that if to think that anyone can make you happy or unhappy is just ridiculous. So even in relationship, inside the family, and inside any collective or group, whatever comes to you, it is mostly, almost everything, is what you yourself deserve. It just comes from other people through the medium of other people to you. So live well if you want to be happy, basically. And if you fail, you suffer as a consequence. And trying to overcome the suffering, you really, grasp to the light that you feel. You really go deep into your own heart. You think how to overcome this finally. So the search and the effort really gets the impulse, the stimulus, very powerful stimulus to make the next step. So and then you make the next step, and then you try better. So you just keep going, and next time hopefully you remember how it was and all the conclusions. And the wisdom of the experience is something probably that remains after this ups and downs. So I think HPB wrote that 1,000 failures don't matter if they are followed up by 1,001 sincere effort to overcome and to rise. So that's basically the way, and we will have to overcome. There is just no other way. The question is how much we will have to, bang our head and catch all the negative and difficult experience. Yeah, and also all these ideas that we can somehow find a shortcut, just, well, I don't know, don't pay attention or stay positive or don't listen to the voice of your consciousness because you're not supposed to feel guilty or anything. All that is very one-sided at best, because to grow up, we have to learn, and if you make a mistake, well, it feels unpleasant, and there is no escape of that other than to learn.
It's very
Sometimes.
wise, Svyat.
Well, I don't
It's
know. Thank you.
it reminds me of a quote that I've been telling myself every day, because something about it, I don't know, makes me see things a little better. It's from the Kathopanishad. I've never read it, but it was a quote in another book and wrote it down. It's when a man is free from desire, when he is free from grief, it is then in the tranquility of the senses that he beholds the majesty of the soul. And I don't know, maybe in this context that we're talking about, those things that upset us, it's grief. And a lot of times we feel grief because our desires aren't being fulfilled. And this quote is saying that these two things, grief and desire, are exactly what's keeping us from seeing the soul as it is, which is always there underneath all these layers of us. And as through this practice of living in daily life where things go wrong and it's unavoidable that we're going to feel ups and downs, by trying to come back to that center where there's no grief, no desire, eventually we'll see that bright thing, soul living underneath of it.
Mm.
And when I'm driving to work and I just feel like I don't want to do this for 8 hours right now, and I'm just miserable going to work, I try to think about that I'm feeling grief right now, and I'm supposed to not be feeling grief because this in and of itself is keeping me from seeing the soul. I still feel grief, but at least I know the direction I'm supposed to be going. That seems to help.
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and these quotes kind of well, they touch the heart of things. I remember reading somewhere that in Theosophical literature that Lords of Karma allocates a certain amount of karma each life. Not just amount, but I guess which karma to give to a person, that is just enough for them to overcome it. I guess we'll have to put in effort to overcome it, but it is meant for us to overcome. Yeah, it's very encouraging to know that we are meant to overcome our karma. It is going to be hard, but this is the portion. We're only getting a small portion,
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you have a very favorite quote that you may share, or maybe even more than that, a motto of life?
Yeah, your own maybe.
I don't have one of my own, but I think if I had to pin it to this is my motto of life, it's probably that same one I mentioned earlier, that before the eyes can see, they must be capable of tears. And I think that's why I mentioned it, because I keep thinking it over and over in my head. So much of our life is these negative emotions, right?
Yes.
These things that pop up. And I feel like that's a big part of what we're trying to learn to do here, is overcome that.
Sometimes it's very hard to kind of overcome your emotions when you're in a tough situation, or when you need to do something, but your lower bodies don't want you to. Sometimes it happens. And then I'm just thinking, like I tried this little experiment where I thought of, I just looked at what I had to do for what it is. And then I realized that a lot of stress comes from tediousness, the tediousness of what we have to do. It's not that it's actually difficult to do, but it's just that it's tedious. Like if I did something wrong, and then my principal, because I'm a teacher, and recently I did something wrong, and then my principal was upset. And then I tried that. I tried to realize that, be aware of the fact that it's tedious listening to this. It's tedious to have to go through the consequence of what I did. It's tedious. It's troublesome. It's tiresome. Yes, that kind of took me out of like the whatever self-blame or self-pity that I was in, and also the feeling of wanting to escape that situation. Yeah, and when I had to do work instead of a rest, I had a lot of work I need to do. I shouldn't rest, and then I told myself, finally, today I have to do this. It shouldn't be a wasted day again. And then I realized that it's all just tediousness. Like, okay, a lot of computer work is like that, right? So if we get over that, we realize that what we're actually using our minds for is not too difficult to do. And whatever we have to, you don't know if we made a mistake, how do we overcome that? How do we do better next time? It's not difficult to do either. We just have to do better next time. So that made me realize how much, our emotions and our thoughts kind of create a lot of drama in our lives.
I've seen that in myself too. It's common human, I don't know, procrastination stuff. We all do that.
Exactly. And also for teachers, it's a very repetitive cycle because every year it's just the same. And that can really get one into depression unless you find something that you can change. If not externally, then you can be a different person that goes through the same cycle every year. That is a hope. Yeah. A different consciousness growing, hopefully. There is a fundamental question for you. What does it mean to be a theosophist in your view?
I think it means someone who's just trying to get in touch with that deeper part of themselves. And that's it. And that's why we see him throughout all history, because that's all it takes.
Universal experience.
And on the way, we also realize oneness, and also because you've been so busy with your own work as well as TS work. We also wanna know how maybe you can talk a bit about your involvement in the WFYT. How has that been like for you as a board member? How do you juggle all your responsibilities and all that?
I think the hardest thing is just beginning. And then once that's done, there's a pattern to follow and it's not that bad. That's typically how I go through life. I have an app on my phone with a lot of tasks that repeat every day, and I just click them off every day. The way we do these things, I think, depends on our personality type. So that's what works for me. It's other things for different people. But it's kind of like what you were saying, Clover. Once we actually start doing it, it's never really that bad. Sometimes the worst part is just thinking about what we've got to do. So I try not to think about it and just do it.
Yeah, wow, that's effective, right?
But tell us, did you keep you very busy? The responsibility of the officer of the WFIT?
I mean, we have a lot of meetings, I think. And that does keep me busy. But it's not bad. I mean, I've maybe had to sacrifice exercising a little bit. I've gotten kind of fat the past couple of years, but I think that's pretty much my only sacrifice. And that was probably an excuse.
Do you visit the TS meetings of any lodge in America?
Yeah, just about every week. I'll go to the DC lodge meetings online. And when my travel for work takes me to California, I try to go to Crotona there as much as I can. It's a really nice place.
Yeah, I've been meaning to visit Crotona.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. They've got a nice grounds there. It's in a real quiet, sleepy town where I think all the movie stars go when they want to be quiet.
Ohio in general?
Yeah, Ohio. Yeah, they don't even have fast food restaurants there. They outlawed it in the town because it's too fancy.
In the WFYT, you've always been like sort of doing things behind the scenes. Is this a practice of yours, like to not take credit, and to do things silently?
I try to. I think when I watch myself, when I try to publicize anything that I've done and I watch it, I can see it's all ego. It's my lower self that wants to do these things, and I try to keep that part at bay. So I think that's why I try not to self-promote or anything like that. And I'm honestly, I'm probably trying to take Pablo Sender's lead here because that's what he's always doing too. I mean, I recognize him as someone whose soul is older than mine, and he knows what he's doing. So I try to really watch and listen to the things that he says and follow his example, because he's one of the few people that I know of in the world who's really trying.
Do you have a close friendship with him already?
So when my work takes me to Crotona, I do try to visit them. Yeah, it comes and goes in waves when my work takes me there.
We have this famous Theosophical formula, a question that I also like to ask: study, meditation, and service. So how do they manifest in your life? Study, meditation, and service.
The meditation every morning, no matter what, I'll just make myself sit there. So recently, I got hit by a car about a month and a half ago. Yeah, and I woke up in the hospital. It was pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that the first thing that you said in this episode?
Yeah, I probably would have died if I wasn't wearing a helmet. But I was really lucky.
How did it happen?
I was on a one wheel. It's like a skateboard thing. It's got one wheel in the center. You're riding like a skateboard.
Oh, I've seen it on your Instagram stories.
Yeah, I was riding that, and I was crossing. I was on the sidewalk in front of the car dealership, and a car just flew out of it. And it only broke a little piece of my elbow, and I got a hole in my foot, which is why I'm saying this, because every morning now, after I get out of the shower, I gotta just dry this hole in my foot before I can bandage it up, and that's when I meditate. So it's been helping me meditate regularly as I wait for this thing to heal.
Blessing in disguise.
When life cannot make you meditate in any other way, then that's what happens.
Yeah, that's motivation to meditate if you're not.
Because you're too busy.
Well, so sorry about this experience. Be careful, please.
Yeah, so for study, it involves that silly one wheel again, and I like to ride it to different parts of town that are kind of secluded, and then walk around in a circle while I read some theosophical book for half an hour. It's normally my study each day. And service right now, I think, is just doing stuff for the WFYT. What about the two of you?
Svyat?
Well, study. I have many plans that I want to study, and I have been studying this and that over the years. But these days, well, only what we study during the Theosophical meetings that I visit. We are reading the Sacred Doctrine, Volume 3. In one group, we are studying chronologically the articles of HPB from the collection of articles, collected writings.
Stuff.
That's another meeting. And then there are meetings every Saturday of our lecture program, which have very different topics, just something theosophical. And mostly these three. There is another group on the first volume of the Sacred Doctrine, but I don't normally visit because there's just not enough time. I have so many things that I want to learn, really. Wow. But maybe later. And I also try to listen a little bit about bodhicitta, loving kindness, Buddhist practices, because I'm very interested in those. And I try to practice every day a little bit of this loving kindness and bodhicitta thinking from the Buddhist tradition. And service, I think, is fully connected with theosophical work.
Well, you guys have a lot of things that you're studying right now. Like for me, there's also a lot of things that I want to do in like character building and improving myself is part of a theosophical practice. The challenge is finding time again, and realizing is an excuse that I don't have time, and to make time. in the Singapore Lodge, we have like a subgroup called the Lotus Circle, where we do a lot of practical theosophy. Every night, except for Saturdays, we have a Zoom session for half an hour. Like some are rituals, some are meditations, and then some are like discussions and sharings and all that, a bit more informal. So I try to attend them as much as I can. Sometimes I facilitate a meditation or a ritual. So that's how I feel like I'm still keeping in touch with like my meditation practice, keeping it going more regularly, because I've there was a period of time where every morning I would spend 5 minutes meditating, and then I go. But nowadays, like it's harder. I don't know. I'm going through this lull in my meditation practice right now.
Yes, me too.
You too? Like,
Mm.
I don't know, like, well, what are you guys' experience like, with meditation? After a long time of meditating, I still feel like my thoughts are getting in the way. Of course, I do see like a change, like I can sit for a longer time, but it doesn't mean that can be silent for that long.
I think these changes accumulate over a very long period of time, and this is really a regular effort, and also about knowing what you do and what you hope to achieve. If you have that, then just keep going and observe, and over, as Dalai Lama says often, year after year, decade after decade, and then life after life. So that self-knowledge accumulates very gradually. We don't meditate for like half a day, right? Like monks do or something like that. We meditate a little, so what can we expect? But it's good
Yeah.
that it happens, because it
Mm.
does accumulate after all. So
Like you can see an inner change is definitely going on. How about you, Seth?
Kind of like what Svat said, I think my biggest struggle is keeping in the front of my mind what I'm doing is what am I doing and why. So reminding myself that, I'm doing this to slowly over time change the way that I perceive the world. And before I start, to remind myself of that, and that even if I can't see any results, because I'm not going to with this personality, it's still having an effect. To actually consciously think about that every time before I start seems to help me when I remember to do it.
Purpose, right? Like having that
Purpose.
purpose in your mind. I think that's the case for service as well, in my experience, because like I feel like service is at the forefront of why we're doing what we're doing. At least that's my opinion. Like I'm studying, if I'm reading a theosophical book, or if I'm meditating or anything, I realize that if I try to bring myself back to the purpose, my purpose for it will always come back to service.
right.
Yeah, for that even to be someone's intention to do it to help is already a huge thing.
Do you have a dream, Seth?
A dream.
How has it changed? I remember Kurt Leland telling us how it evolved, how his dreams evolved. How about you?
Well, in what context? Like, what kind of dream?
Well, something that you really want to see happen in life. Maybe something you're not sure that will happen in this incarnation, but something that you would really love to see happening.
So I'm reminded of another quote from, this one's from Time Me, who wrote Self-Culture. It's a book that I've been studying lately. It's realization of the fact that life in this other world is far more rich, real, and vivid than our highest conception of a full and happy life here. And I've been trying to remind myself of that lately, to exactly kill my dreams for this life, to kind of put it in the perspective of any dreams that I can have for this personality here on Earth is empty compared to where we're going. our highest conception of a full and happy life here, whatever we can think of, it's full and happy, meaningful, having a beautiful family that takes care of each other and loves each other. These things are empty compared to where we're going. So I think that's my dream, to leave this world behind.
Evolution will take care of that, hopefully. That's great. Very wise.
Because it also helps us not take life too seriously and not take the personalities dreams so seriously, because a lot of these dreams have to do with I guess how we're brought up and what society asks of us. A lot of that is mixed up with what we want, being successful in what we do, honing our talents. It pales in comparison to actually to the evolutionary journey that we're on. And I feel like that helps us to see whatever we're doing as, not think too much about it. Okay, I got this. I got what I want. Great. Okay, I didn't get what I want. Great as well. It's just a stepping stone. They're just stepping stones.
I think it's a little bit of a paradox, maybe, because dream on the one hand can help us understand what is the most important for us. Where are we going to? Where are we hoping to get to? If not in form, but in essence, what we are looking for deep inside. But at the same time, as you mentioned, life is so endlessly diverse, and it always surprises. Like with our experience, I don't know, maybe the masters who live 300 years old and have clairvoyance, maybe not so much surprises, maybe. But for me, always there is a surprise. The lesson from life comes, I could not have predicted it in any way, somehow. So maybe to expect something in form, that it's going to be like that and I'm going to be happy, it's really rather useless, perhaps, because we have no idea. Even like a year from now, even a month from now, we may have no idea what may come to us, right? So what is your message to the young Theosophists, Seth?
Any wise words?
I don't think so. I don't know. Just keep trying.
Keep trying.
Actually, if just one last question, if you don't mind, your plans, like creativity, theosophical plans for the future, maybe you want to share what you would like to accomplish and achieve in work?
I don't think I have any. There's nothing concrete in the world that I think I really want to get done. I guess trying to practice what I preach in a way that I really think what goes on inside is more important than anything outside. And that by changing the way we live internally, it will change the rest of the world too. So part of that is not letting myself think of anything I want to get done in the world. Objective. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like kind of just take it one step at a time and focus on what you're doing now.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah.
And thank you too for doing all these interviews over all these months. This is a lot of work.
This has been our interview with Seth Edwards. You can find us at all main podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. You are also welcome to our website, WFYT.org. And stay tuned for the next episode. Every meeting is a happy opportunity to share that which is the most important for us spiritual travelers and Theosophists. Thank you for being with us. All the best and see you soon.